Hello crafty friends, this is Jarle. I'm happy that you're joining me today. I have a lawn fawn Halloween card that I wanted to share with you. So let's dive right in. Off camera I already did a bunch of die cutting. I die cut this full moon out of some fog cardstock, then the bats out of storm clouds and the stars out of sticky note cardstock. Then I have this cute pumpkin house and I used canned pumpkin, cilantro and black licorice for this. And then the Halloween add-on is die cut out of black licorice and sticky note cardstock again. By the way, you can find all the supplies through a link in the description box below, so definitely check it out. I first did some ink blending on all my die cuts. I used different colors of distress ink for this. Now for the pumpkin I used canned pumpkin, obviously. For the grass and all the greenery on the pumpkin I used Lucky Clover. This gives such a beautiful look. The cilantro paper together with this Lucky Clover ink, it's just gorgeous. So ink blending here, just the top edges of my grassy panel here, or my grassy border. And then I'm going over to the stars, and I did a little bit of mustard seed here. And so just give it a little bit of extra color on all of those teeny tiny stars. And then for the wings of the bats, I used my black soot. The full moon die gives great embossed details, but I really wanted to give it that something extra. So I went in with distress ink in the color Pumice Stone and I just added a little bit of this gray ink on the edges. For my cards panel, I started out with Bristol Smooth cardstock, which I die cut out of the large slimline rectangle. And then I took out 4 colors of Distress Oxides, Milled Lavender, Wilted Violet, Blueprint Sketch and Black Soot. I really love this color combination, the purple and then that bright blue, that's just perfect. And then the black soot really gives it this cool Halloween-y vibe. Now I'm speeding this ink blending up quite a bit, but I always start with the lightest color and then I work my way up to that darkest color. And I just go back and forth all the time until I'm happy with the result. Now I know I've said it many times before in previous videos, but really you must try this Bristol Smooth paper if you have trouble ink blending. It's a really forgiving paper. It takes quite a bit of time for the ink to soak in the paper, so you can just keep blending and blending without ending up with harsh lines. Another tip I can give you is to try out blending brushes instead of blending tools. Blending brushes make it easier to get a perfect and smooth ink blended background. I switched to brushes about, I think, 1 year or a year and a half ago, and I haven't used those regular round blending tools ever since. So I'm really happy with this cardstock and also with these brushes. Now I still wasn't quite happy with that moon. I tried to emphasize those embossed details inside of that moon by going over them with a few Copic markers. So I used C1, C00 and the colorless blender for this. So you kind of trace the line with the C1 marker and then you can blend it out with the C00 and then with the colorless blender. I am so happy with how this moon turned out. Just a little bit of those marker details can really change the whole look. And it's really not an effort at all. Just look at how it turned out. I love it. I really, really love it. Then I decided I wanted to add a few splatters to my die cuts and to my main card panel. So I just put a little bit of black soot onto a stamping block. I spritzed it with water and then I splattered a bit of that paint onto about every item on the card. I thought it would add to that Halloween vibe I wanted to create. So I did this for the main card panel, for this pumpkin, and then of course also on the grass. For the main panel, I also got in with the blueprint sketch. So again, I added a little bit of water and splattered on the paint with my little paintbrush. So it's about time to assemble my cards. So here I'm just adhering a few little items like that glow behind the lantern, the light behind the window, and then that door frame. And then I also put down my grassy border here. I did fiddle around a bit with the placements of every item on this card. I think this really took me a while to figure out where I wanted everything to go. So first I laid down my pumpkin and I decided where I wanted all the greenery to go. So I placed every item or every little tiny item on the cards, on the pumpkin, before adhering everything down to place, as you see me doing here. So at this point, everything is adhered just with some liquid glue. When I was happy with my pumpkin, then I decided to bring in the bats and that moon. So I just played around a bit with that moon on the corner there, and then I put my pumpkin in the middle. I put down one bat, then two bats, then three bats. I went on for quite a while, as you see me here doing this here. I didn't want to lose that stitching detail where the moon would go, so I just took out my large slimline rectangle again, and when I was happy with the placement of my moon, I just die cut that same rectangle. So when the moon was glued down with liquid glue, I decided to pop up my cute and adorable pumpkin house with some foam squares adhesives. Just like this. And then the stars were adhered also with liquid glue, and then the bats again with tiny foam squares, just like you can see here. So this creates a lot of dimension on the cards, and you know we all love dimension on cards, don't we? Then again, for that little extra something, I took out my white gel pen and I added some white gel pen details. I don't actually have a method for this. If anyone has a method for it, please let me know, because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going in thinking, oh, this might be cute or this might be fun, but actually I have no idea what I'm doing. So then for my sentiment, I prepped my cardstock with that powder tool from Tailored Expressions, and then with Versamark ink I stamped down my sentiment, which says, "You are spooktacular." Then I sprinkled on some white embossing powder. I did it off camera, I'm sorry for that. And then I heat set everything with my heat tool. Then I took out that trusty sentiment banner to cut out my sentiment straight, and then I popped up that sentiment strip with a few small foam squares so I could adhere this to my card. Now all I have to do is to adhere this card panel onto a card base. I use Lawn Fawn White for this. I think it's the 110-pound version. And I think this finishes off the cards for today. I really hope you like it and that I gave you some inspiration. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!